NATO said on Thursday it would take new deterrence and defense steps after Russia launched an invasion of Ukraine, which would include putting over 100 warplanes on high alert and further increase the presence of troops on its eastern flank. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said there would be a virtual emergency summit of the alliance's 30 nations on Friday, and they would be joined by the leaders of Sweden, Finland and European Union institutions. Russian forces invaded Ukraine by land, air and sea on Thursday, confirming the worst fears of the West with the biggest attack by one state against another in Europe since World War II. Peace on our continent has been shattered, Stoltenberg told a news conference. Russia is using force to try to rewrite history and deny Ukraine its free and independent path. Ukraine is not a member of the alliance, and Stoltenberg said there were no NATO troops in the country. We have no plans to send NATO troops in Ukraine. What we do is defensive, he said. The new measures planned by NATO would enable it to deploy capabilities and forces, including the NATO Response Force, to Eastern European countries. NATO is planning to create battle group structures like it already has in Baltic states for the countries on its eastern flank, Slovak Foreign Minister Ivan Korčok said, adding the move would include Slovakia. The unit will be made from countries that are geographically close to us. It will be about several hundred soldiers which will come with equipment that we don't have and which will significantly increase our ability to defend our country, Slovak Defense Minister Jaroslav Nad said. NATO said earlier in a statement that it had decided to take additional steps to further strengthen deterrence and defense across the alliance, but its measures were preventive, proportionate and non-escalatory. This is a deliberate, cold-blooded and long-planned invasion, Stoltenberg said. Russia's unjustified, unprovoked attack on Ukraine is putting countless innocent lives at risk with air and missile attacks. Fears Vladimir Putin could unleash new weapon that ruptures lungs. Western officials have expressed serious concerns that Russia could unleash some of the most dangerous weapons in modern warfare to devastate Ukraine as conflict deepens. Vladimir Putin could use terrifying thermobaric rockets on the people of Kyiv, following their assertive display of resistance to invasion. Officials have already warned that the Russian leader wants to decapitate President Volodymyr Zelensky's Ukrainian government by overthrowing the capital, the Mirror reports.
Мене як ціль номер один. Мою родину як ціль номер два. Вони хочуть.
However, after thousands of armed civilians stepped up to defend their country alongside Ukrainian soldiers, Russia's efforts have not yet been successful in taking over the city. Now officials fear Putin will activate thermobaric missiles, which contain a deadly compound of highly explosive fuel and chemicals, to send out supersonic blast waves that have the potential to tear buildings and bodies apart. At a briefing on Friday, Western officials expressed their fear that the Russian leader would resort to such weapons, which could cause huge loss of life and turn cities to rubble. The TOS-1 Buratino and TOS-1A Solnsipek are seen as some of the more dangerous battlefield weapons. The Russian TOS-1 Buratino weapons are thought to have already crossed the border into Ukraine, and officials said their use would cause indiscriminate violence. Russian forces are around 19 miles from the center of Kyiv as they face a fierce resistance. In a televised message at 12:30 a.m. Ukrainian time, Zelensky said, "The night will be harder than the day. At night they will storm, you cannot give up the capital. We must survive this night." On Friday, Ukraine claimed it had shot down a Russian plane carrying some 100 paratroopers approximately 20 kilometers from Kyiv. In total, 2,800 Russian troops had been killed or wounded, 80 armored vehicles destroyed and 17 jets and helicopters downed across the country by Friday afternoon, Ukrainian officials said. But a spokesman for Mr. Zelensky said on Friday night that his country is in talks with Russia to arrange a time and place for talks, adding, Ukraine was and remains ready to talk about a ceasefire and peace. The Russian army resumed its bombing campaign on Kyiv through the night, and by Saturday morning, February 26, videos of missile strikes on residential buildings close to the center had emerged. Intelligence from the West suggested that Putin's men had hoped to take the capital within 48 hours, but the fierce contest over the city continues. Now political tensions continue to escalate between East and West as Russian ally and major global player, China refused to condemn the invasion of Ukraine. Instead, the country abstained on a UN Security Council resolution to condemn Russia's aggression against Ukraine on Friday.